There was a time when George Clooney seemed untouchable. A man of charisma and wit, wrapped in the effortless glow of fame, wealth, and confidence. He was the man who had everything except commitment. Hollywood's eternal bachelor, charming yet distant. His laughter often masking a loneliness that lingered long after the lights dimmed. Behind every award and every film set, there was silence. A stillness that fame could never fill. Then, fate intervened on a quiet evening at his villa on Lake Como. A mutual friend brought a guest, Amal Alamuddin, a name foreign to the glittering halls of Hollywood, but revered in the world of international law. Her presence changed the air in the room. She was not impressed by his fame, nor moved by his charm. She was brilliant, composed, and utterly herself. And for the first time in decades, George Clooney, the man who swore never to marry again, felt something uncontrollable take root: hope. Their story unfolded not with grand gestures, but with sincerity. Letters, quiet moments, and a growing admiration that transcended glamour. In her he found purpose. In him she found warmth. Within 7 months, the vow of eternal bachelorhood was broken. In his Los Angeles kitchen, surrounded by candlelight and nerves, George proposed. What began as an awkward moment of silence became a life-changing yes. It was the birth of Hollywood's most admired union. A love that promised to outshine the glare of the cameras. Their wedding in Venice was a spectacle of grace and joy. A symbol of perfection that the world embraced as truth. For a time it was. Clooney, once the restless wanderer, became a husband and father. Their twins, Ella and Alexander, brought light into a life that had long been shadowed by solitude. Together, they built a foundation of purpose, founding the Clooney Foundation for Justice. Using fame and intellect to serve humanity, they were no longer two worlds colliding but one, brilliance and compassion intertwined, but perfection has a price. As the years passed, the same ambition that bound them began to pull them apart. Amal's world was one of precision, courts, conferences, and causes demanding every ounce of her intellect. George's was one of creativity, films, scripts, in the relentless search for meaning in art. For years, they moved together. Yet slowly, quietly, their paths began to diverge. By 2025, distance was no longer metaphorical. Amal accepted a prestigious teaching position at Oxford, devoting herself to law and academia. George, chasing a lifelong dream, immersed himself in New York's Broadway scene. 2 continents, 2 lives, 2 hearts still bound, but fading under the strain of time zones and silence. The tabloids saw only smiles, the red carpet perfection, the hand-in-hand appearances, the illusion of unbreakable love. But behind the photographs was quiet disconnection. George, alone in his apartment after curtain calls, found himself reaching again for the comfort he had long abandoned. A glass of wine, a memory, a whisper of the man he used to be. When he faltered one night after the Tony Awards, it was not rebellion, it was exhaustion. The man who once conquered the world now struggled to conquer himself. Amal's disappointment was not loud, but it cut deep. It was not the drink that hurt her, but the symbol of what had been lost, the discipline, the devotion, the balance that once held them together. In their silence lay grief, not anger, not betrayal, but the ache of distance. Their marriage, once a masterpiece of love and intellect, was now a fragile portrait cracked by ambition and time. And yet, even as rumors grew, neither spoke of endings. Perhaps because some loves do not die loudly. They simply fade into the quiet. In the stillness of their French estate, the olive trees whispered of better days. The laughter of children echoed through the halls only during school breaks, fleeting moments of warmth in a house that had grown cold. George Clooney, once surrounded by the world's applause, now faced the loneliest silence of his life. He wandered through the gardens at dusk, rehearsing lines not for a film, but for the role he no longer knew how to play: the devoted husband. Across the sea, Amal thrived in Oxford's calm discipline. Her lectures inspired, her legal work transformed lives, and her name carried weight in courts around the world. Yet even in triumph, there lingered fatigue. A quiet acknowledgement that balance between love and purpose was an illusion few could sustain. Her days were filled with brilliance, her nights with solitude. The The distance between them was no longer measured in miles, but in pace. George sought stillness. Amal pursued momentum. He was a man slowing down, reflecting on a life of excess and achievement. She was a woman still ascending, driven by ideals too large to rest. Once they met at the perfect midpoint. Now that midpoint no longer existed. When Amal spoke publicly again, her words carried both gratitude and melancholy. She called George supportive, praising his role as father and partner. To the world it sounded like devotion, but to those who listened closely, it was remembrance, a tribute to what once was. The tone was gentle, the message restrained. Love had not vanished, but its vitality had dimmed. George, too, began to speak differently. In interviews, he no longer denied or confirmed the rumors. Instead, he spoke of marriage as a living thing, one that changes, weakens, and sometimes aches. He admitted that even love, in its purest form, could be outpaced by time. "You can sit across from the person you love," he said quietly, "and feel miles away." It was not confession. It was acceptance. The years had humbled him. The mirror revealed not just age, but truth. Wrinkles told stories of laughter and loss. His once proud posture carried the weight of reflection. The man who once declared he'd never marry again had learned that love is not a conquest. It's a discipline. And forever, he discovered, is not about permanence. It is about endurance. Still, in the quiet corners of Provence, hope lingered. The laughter of Ella and Alexander bridged the gap, even for a moment. Amal's calls, though brief, carried traces of affection. Perhaps theirs was not an ending, but a transformation. A love no longer defined by passion, but by memory, respect, and the quiet wish for peace. In the end, the story of George and Amal Clooney is not a tragedy, but a truth. Even the most beautiful unions can tremble under the weight of ambition and time. Love is not lost through chaos, but through silence. And yet, within that silence lies a final act of grace, the choice to keep caring, even when the fairy tale fades.